Okay. So, yesterday's was kind of a quick and dirty. Today's kind of the same thing. My brother's on his way to pick me up. So, just gonna see what I can get done in a limited amount of time. So right now I'm just gonna hit the old reset button. Need that. The only thing I usually leave put together is my kick drum setup, which I can maybe make that a little bit better. So I'm using channel 1 here. So one of the things that I can do, I'm not sure how, use one of my VCAs from the ISMS. Sometimes it's nice to get little handy dandy housekeeping stuff out of the way, like this out of the way. Let's see. So one of the things we can do is, since we're, okay, let's get out of there. So can't reach to So I also noticed that you can't really see too much of what I'm doing on the Prophet and on the Monome here. So with the Monome, if I do anything interesting with the Mono, I'll probably move the camera to where you can see it better. But for the most part, I'm just doing triggers, you know. So there's the more interesting part here is if you can see, there's only really, you know, here are my two triggers. When this thing blinks, there you go. That's whenever a trigger comes out. So there's nothing too interesting happening. I don't think you're missing out by not seeing what I'm doing on the Monome. And let's see. And then with the Prophet, so the most interesting rows anyways are these. And for the most part, if you see me reaching up in here, I'm just changing the patch. I'm not doing anything fancy at all. Just changing the patch. And then most of the time I would just so if I ever do a video where I make a sound on the Prophet, which that's like if I'm not feeling creative one night, I just kind of, you know, just want to get something done, but you know, I'm not really feeling a song. Sometimes I'll sit down and make a new patch on the Prophet. So I'd obviously put the camera where you could see that pretty good if I ever do that. But for the most part, yeah, I just keep with the patches that I've either made or that come with the Prophet. Okay. So I think you can tell from my last two, I really like to use samples a whole lot. I feel like it kind of breaks up like the, not monotony, but sometimes like when you just use like oscillators like generated from like electronic equipment, it just gives it a certain sound and it's really, really hard to get away from that sound. And so I actually have two samplers, or I added the radio music was my first sampler that I added, and then later on I added the Grandpa as kind of like, because they kind of do two different things. You know, the radio music's like always playing, whereas like the Grandpa is more of a, like you trigger a sample. And they're both great. And they're both really good at what they do. I actually need to put the radio music firmware back on the radio music. Though I do love the chord organ. So I'm kind of conflicted. Might buy a chord organ or another radio music with the chord organ firmware. So samples are kind of how I break up. Like I kind of help it crack into like a different, like, I don't know how to describe it, but it just makes it feel like a lot warmer, a lot like more organic. Whereas like whenever you're just, you know, doing electronic like oscillators, like it can feel a bit stale sometimes. So I like to use a little bit from both. Like if it's feeling too stale, then I'll add a sample, and sometimes it's just I don't know, depending on the sample, you can, you know, it doesn't really sound, you know, you need like a bass line or something like that, and you want something simple, then, you know, use something from here. So maybe, I think one of the things I'm going to do is right now I'm using the Korgasmatron as self-oscillating as my kick drum sound. I don't know, maybe I'll keep that, because another option is, and it kind of frees up a VCA, is you can just do it with the Mangrove, and it actually makes a pretty nice kick. But I actually really like the way this kick sounds. It sounds mean. Okay, I'll keep it. But the Mangrove makes a really nice kick drum too. Let's see. All right, I kind of want to do a sequence. It's probably a really bad idea because I don't remember too greatly how to do a sequence with the Kriya, or with Kriya. Four notes. Oops. Okay, so let's just go with like. So right now, this is the CV from the Kriya. I have no idea what it's outputting, and I'm just not even gonna bother doing a trigger for the VCA at the moment. Yeah, sure, we'll come up with the format. kind of feel like modulating that chest.